All right, let's tell you more about the latest coming in, which of course also carries a lot of implications as far as what we are looking at, the changing dynamics as far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. In the latest, if you're just joining us, an intercontinental missile has been tested across Russia in a test that also puts Russia's strategic nuclear forces back in focus. So as of now, that's the initial piece of information coming in. And meanwhile, the Russia-Ukraine war is no longer contained to just the front lines. Ukrainian drones are reaching deep into Russia. Western missiles are striking farther from the battlefield. Russian attacks are coming back with growing force. Now, Moscow also warning Britain that the next step could also bring British military targets into the equation. Take a look.
The distance between the Ukraine battlefield and the wider NATO confrontation is shrinking. Ukraine has spent months taking the war deep inside Russia, using waves of drones against military, energy and industrial targets. Moscow has responded with its own massive missile and drone barrages across Ukraine. Ukrainian drones have also struck the Moscow region. Other Ukrainian attacks have targeted Russian energy infrastructure and industrial sites. But drones are only part of Kyiv's long-range arsenal. Now the storm shadow has become the center of a much bigger confrontation. The British-French cruise missile can travel hundreds of kilometers and strike targets deep behind the front line. Its targets include bunkers, bridges, and supply depots, making it a game-changer in long-range warfare. And Britain has just taken a major new step. The new British PM Andy Burnham agreed to give Ukraine access to classified technology to help it produce its own long-range missiles.
In order to speed up Putin's realization that he cannot win this war, Russia needs to feel the pressure. They are already struggling to fund their war chest. Despite spiking oil prices, Russia's overall energy revenues are down and they have a record deficit. But we need to do more to squeeze their oil and LNG exports.
For Moscow, this changes the equation. The Kremlin says Western countries are not simply supplying weapons anymore. They are helping build Ukraine's long-range strike capability inside Ukraine itself. Russia calls the British move fuel to the fire. Then came the warning. Moscow says Britain could face strikes on military installations.
We have repeatedly warned that the response to Ukrainian strikes using British weapons on Russian territory could target any British military facilities and equipment, whether in Ukraine or beyond. Those responsible for war crimes, including those committed against our country's civilian population, will be punished in accordance with their actions. Inescapable retribution awaits their accomplices and instigators, and we urge all residents of the United Kingdom to reflect on the inevitable, catastrophic consequences of their authorities' hostile actions.
Romania and Poland have reported Russian-origin drones entering its airspace. NATO has condemned the airspace violations. Moscow, however, has denied targeting NATO nations. Russia says it is fighting Ukraine. Britain says it is helping Ukraine defend itself. NATO says its members must be protected. And Ukraine is increasingly capable of taking the fight deep into Russian territory. The result is a dangerous chain reaction. A Ukrainian drone crosses into Russia. A Western missile hits deeper. Russia retaliates against Ukraine. A drone or fragment crosses into NATO airspace. And suddenly, a war that began in Ukraine creates pressure far beyond Ukraine.
What's unfolded in Nepal today has been a fresh crisis situation earlier in the afternoon on top of a massive tragedy. With a dam burst in Tibet earlier triggering fresh flood warnings, Nepal remained on edge. All this as the country battered by those flash floods has been racing against time to rescue survivors. Over 350 people have lost their lives. Hundreds remained missing. Risks from a lake formed on the Nepal-Tibet border after the deadly mudslide seem to be gradually decreasing after the authorities in Nepal issued an urgent warning following reports that a dam upstream in Tibet has burst. And rescue operations on both sides of the border were briefly suspended, reportedly. In fact, the Nepalese police had issued a fresh alert earlier in the day after that dam burst in Tibet. Security personnel and rescue and relief workers were told to stay on high alert and asked to immediately move to a safe location. Authorities earlier warned of further flooding from the barrier lake, which was already overflowing. They urged people in the potentially affected areas to move to safer ground as the country remained on edge. The situation remains particularly dangerous for the rescue team personnel, remember, who've been racing against time, working in the affected areas, where the unstable terrain, the damaged infrastructure, and the possibility of sudden water surges have been complicating the relief efforts. Let's now get you these images that have been coming in. Now, this is just a bird's eye view of what we are talking about has been the situation on the ground. Now, Nepal has been monitoring 2 lakes upstream of the flood zone, one of which, in fact, began overflowing on Friday. That's reportedly, according to an official with Nepal's Disaster Management Authority. Flood risks will reportedly remain until the 2 lakes have fully drained. And according to the official, satellite imagery showed presence of both lakes close to the glacial site. Nepalese authorities are reportedly relying on satellite imagery to track the conditions, though monitoring is limited by the availability of images, as per that official, reportedly. Meanwhile, rescuers pulled out survivors caked in mud. Helicopters lifted stranded people to safety. People from multiple countries, remember, are missing as a result of those flash floods in Nepal. Thousands have been rescued. As those relief efforts have been continuing, thousands on the ground have been rescued, some of the injured taken to hospitals. In fact, this is just a glimpse of the kind of efforts that have been made by those personnel on the ground, racing against time. Remember, every passing hour has been crucial. It's been a very tight window that we are looking at, and these personnel have been carrying out these rescue operations. In fact, Nepal's Prime Minister's office released the video, this one showing rescuers climbing through thick mud towards a tunnel at the upper Trishuli hydropower project to reach and evacuate the laborers and the local residents trapped by the devastating floods. According to the Prime Minister's office, it had rescued 350 people from the tunnel and moved another 533 residents to safety from the flood-affected areas across the district. While efforts continued to evacuate, more than 100 people still trapped. What caused this horrific tragedy is also the question. Scientists say the most likely trigger was a glacial collapse in which a gigantic piece of ice broke off the glacier and fell into a river below, setting off a disastrous chain reaction that killed hundreds. Initial satellite analysis reportedly showed that a chunk of ice measuring almost 50 acres collapsed about 1.2 kilometers vertically. The impact registered as a magnitude 5.2 seismic event reportedly. And this renewed concerns over the risks from the retreating glaciers and changing high altitude catchments across the Himalayas. Earlier, drone footage released by the Chinese authorities showed a landslide dammed lake on the Nepal-Tibet border formed by the glacier debris. In fact, Chinese rescue teams resumed operations on Friday after the authorities assessed the risk on the Nepal-Tibet border as manageable following that brief suspension over fears that the lake could burst. The lake overflowed earlier, remember, triggering those fresh alarms downstream in Nepal. Authorities on both sides of the border stepped up monitoring as water levels continued to rise earlier. And Nepal could also be sitting on a time bomb as of now. The focus remains on rescuing survivors. It's a race against time. It's a crucial window and a long wait for the families of those who are missing, waiting for updates about their loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers remain with the people of Nepal. Even as US President Donald Trump has claimed that the Strait of Hormuz is open and Iran is in deep trouble, the extent of damage incurred by the US military during the Iran war may lead to reduced American presence in West Asia in the future. According to a report, the damage to the US military bases in West Asia during the course of the war due to Iranian drone and missile attacks is estimated to be $4 to $9 billion US. And the report also claimed that the U.S. Navy has temporarily relocated the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters to Florida owing to extensive damage to the Naval Support Activity Base in Bahrain. This matters as this base served as a central hub, remember, for the U.S. naval operations in West Asia. Now, think tank CSIS analyzed satellite images to calculate the cost of the Iranian strikes on 122 structures across 12 US West Asian bases. And according to this policy research firm, the camp in Kuwait incurred a damage of close to a staggering $1 billion US. This was followed by the country's air base, the Ali Al Salem air base, which suffered damage worth $787 million US. In the UAE, the Al Dhafra air base also incurred considerable damage. That's not all. Qatar's Al Udeid air base, the Al Udeid air base, which is the largest American military base in West Asia, remember, also reportedly sustained damage to the tune of $466 million US. Trump's war on Iran has also reportedly driven the US military into a severe financial crisis. A report flagged that the US Navy has been forced to transfer money meant for the salaries of the sailors to cover the costs of combat. Reportedly, the protracted war has also resulted in the US military experiencing a critical shortage of advanced missile interceptors in Europe, reportedly. The most concerning shortfall involves America's Patriot missile interceptors, which can shoot down Russia's high-speed ballistic missiles. And according to a report, the US has used up 65% of its overall arsenal of over 2,300 Patriot missiles in the Iran war. Over 2,300 Patriot missiles. Only about 600 Patriot missiles are expected to be produced this year. And this also has raised concerns about the vulnerabilities of the NATO countries in responding to a potential Russian attack, for example. And according to reports, the Pentagon is likely to review the situation, leading to a potential scaling back of the American bases in the region. This has been one of Iran's key demands, remember, since the start of that war. Amid all of this, Trump asserting that US controlled the Strait of Hormuz, claiming that millions of barrels of oil were transiting through that strategic waterway daily after being cleared of mines by CENTCOM. Listen to this.
They're in deep trouble. They have very little capacity. Last night we took 24 boats through the strait. We're taking them through all the time. I say it very openly. It doesn't mean we're finished with the military, but we are. The strait is open, as you know. The Strait of Hormuz is open.
On the other hand, Iran's Supreme National Security Council chief has revealed that Iran is preparing a list of conditions for reopening the Strait of Hormuz at the request of the mediators. During an interview, he also stated that Iran had agreed with Oman on a corridor which ships could use if US meets its conditions, reportedly. Seething over America's Operation Economic Outcast, Iran urged all countries to refrain from implementing what it termed as economic terrorism, quote-unquote, by the United States. According to its foreign ministry, compliance would amount to violation of international law and sovereign equality of the states. Meanwhile, Beijing also lashed out at Washington over the Trump administration's possible move to sanction Chinese banks linked to Iran.
Regarding the situation in Iran, we believe that dialogue and negotiations are the only way out of the current situation. China's opposition to illegal unilateral sanctions is consistent and clear.
So even as the diplomatic efforts are afoot to bring peace in the region, with Qatar's leader also paying a visit to Tehran, the US and Iran continue to be at loggerheads over crucial issues at the same time. Here's a quick look now at the global headlines at this hour, taking you around the world in 120 seconds.
The Israeli military says it struck several terrorists in Jenin in occupied West Bank, a relatively rare airstrike in the partly semi-autonomous Palestinian territory. A group of Israeli activists gathered outside the European Union offices in East Jerusalem, urging the bloc to speak out against alleged war crimes and apartheid, calling for stronger action over the conflict. Greece scrambles F-16 fighter jets as a drone reported to be from Turkey flew over one of the country's airports. Penguin Random House India clarifies that it is not the publisher of Congress leader Sonia Gandhi's memoir, Belonging, A Journey of Love in India, after a news report stated that the publishing house reportedly backed out due to disagreements over editorial changes. The Besnau nuclear power plant in Switzerland, which was shut down multiple times over the last 2 months due to summer heat waves, is fully operational again. thousands of people gather outside Norway's royal palace to pay their respects to King Harald, who died aged 89 after a reign of 3.5 decades. A Roman amphitheater in Croatia is bringing ancient gladiator battles back to life for tourists. Performers recreate 1st century fights using historical techniques and armor.
September is a big month for diplomacy. Amid growing concerns over America's hegemony, key world leaders will be attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS summits due this month. And Prime Minister Modi is kicking off key bilateral meetings from Saturday itself. To begin with, Prime Minister Modi will be visiting Tashkent for 2 days at the invitation of Uzbekistan's president. During his 4th visit to Uzbekistan, he is expected to hold talks to strengthen the strategic partnership between the two countries and review cooperation in multiple sectors. The Prime Minister is also set to visit the memorial dedicated to the late former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. From Tashkent, he will travel to Bishkek to participate in the 26th SCO summit from the 31st of August to the 1st of September. In fact, at the summit, he will be highlighting India's priorities of security, connectivity, and opportunity over its 2 decades-long history. This bloc has expanded considerably. It now includes 10 member states, 2 observer states, 15 dialogue partners spanning a vast geographical area and diverse populations. The summit also coming at a time when geopolitical uncertainty is rife with Russia's war in Ukraine and the ongoing Iran conflict. Now, Prime Minister Modi will also be holding bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the SCO summit with leaders of other countries. For instance, he is all set to meet the Russian president. However, suspense remains over whether he will be meeting the Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is also attending that summit. And this will be followed by the BRICS summit, which will be hosted by India on September 12 and 13. What started out as a bloc of 4 countries, namely Brazil, Russia, India, and China, has now expanded to 11 official members, including Egypt, UAE, and Indonesia. It also has 10 partner countries. Guided by the theme Building for Resilience, Innovation, Cooperation and Sustainability, global leaders will be exchanging views on strengthening intra-BRICS cooperation on common priorities. While the Iranian president and Vladimir Putin are among key leaders traveling to the summit, an official confirmation on Xi Jinping's participation is awaited. Earlier, Reuters indicated that the Chinese president would be attending the BRICS summit with a delegation of about 400 officials. And this will mark his first visit to India in 7 years, amid a gradual improvement in bilateral ties. This also raises a key question. Amid America bolstering its sanctions pertaining to Iran, will this bloc explore the option of creating a BRICS currency as well? Brazil's president voiced this idea in 2023. He meant it as a common currency which can be used for trade and investment between BRICS nations to reduce their vulnerability to dollar rate fluctuations. In fact, this also assumes significance as the US dollar is the undisputed anchor of the global financial system, making up the vast majority of central bank wallets and daily currency trading globally. In fact, for instance, about 60% of global forex reserves, are in US dollars. Around 60% of cross-border loans and deposits are dollar-based. And most global oil trade is conducted in dollars. And while China and Russia are increasingly moving towards ending the hegemony of the US dollar in a way by settling transactions in yuan and rubles, BRICS currency is yet to become an official proposal. Earlier this month, India's Commerce and Industry Minister made it clear that India opposes the introduction of any such proposal. Previously, Trump has already threatened to impose 100% tariffs on BRICS countries if they create a currency to replace the dollar. In fact, another key meeting is scheduled towards the end of this month with Xi Jinping's visit to the White House on September 24. This meeting assuming significance at a time when America is increasingly dependent on China for the supply of critical minerals. All eyes then will be on the next 2 weeks. A political storm spilling onto the cricket field at Lord's. The Pakistan Cricket Board has lodged a formal complaint with Sky Sports after the broadcaster aired an interview with the sons of the jailed former Prime Minister of Pakistan and cricket captain Imran Khan during the England-Pakistan test. The PCB was so angered by the broadcast that Pakistan reportedly considered refusing to return to the field. But after tense discussions involving the England and Wales Cricket Board, Pakistan returned for the afternoon session. The controversy erupted during the first day of the second test between England and Pakistan at Lord's. Sky Sports commentator and former England captain interviewed Imran Khan's sons. Notably, Atherton is one of the 21 former cricket captains who have called for Khan to receive humane treatment and proper medical care, including an independent medical assessment and access to necessary treatment. During the interview, Qasim Khan alleged that authorities were deliberately keeping his father isolated and said the family feared for his life. The Pakistan Cricket Board objected to the interview being aired during the test coverage and formally complained to Sky Sports. Reports say the PCB had warned that Pakistan's players could refuse to return to the field after lunch if the interview was broadcast. In fact, Sky initially held back the segment before eventually airing it during the lunch break. The England and Wales Cricket Board was then drawn into the dispute, with discussions taking place with the Pakistan touring party. In fact, Pakistan ultimately returned to the field and the match continued as scheduled. The controversy coming amid renewed concerns over Imran Khan's health and his treatment in custody. The 73-year-old former Prime Minister has been imprisoned since 2023. Khan's family and political supporters have repeatedly alleged that he is being denied adequate medical care and is being kept in isolation. Before we go on any further, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. From South India, we get you a special report on how it's been Karnataka's driest year in decades. We tell you how and why that's happened. Scientists have discovered a brain break which could help you deal with chronic pain without painkillers. Amid several polls showing his approval ratings plunging, US President Donald Trump has posted his own rankings now. And he calls himself the greatest president in the history of the United States. He also ranked 34 of the 45 people who have served as US presidents in categories ranging from the greatest to failures. Let's break it down for you. In fact, Trump put himself above some of America's most famous presidents, including George Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, who he placed in the great category. As you can see, that's the list that he put out. Trump ranked Roosevelt, who he previously called a man who embodied the heart and soul of the country, in the near great presidents category. Apart from Roosevelt, other names in the near great category included Cleveland, John Adams. The average category had an unexpected name. Former President Bill Clinton. In fact, Trump, remember, has repeatedly attacked Clinton politically over the years. Other names in that average category included James Madison, William McKinley, who he described as a tariff king. Former presidents, former presidents including John Tyler were also placed in that below average category. In the failures category, the so-called failures category, according to Trump, he put his predecessor Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Jimmy Carter, one of the only 4 US presidents to win a Nobel Peace Prize, an award that Trump has long coveted, was also placed in the failures category. Trump has often mocked Carter's legacy, citing him as the benchmark of a poor president. Trump's presidential ranking list did not include every US president. Notable names absent from the list were Harry S. Truman, John F. Kennedy, both George Bush's and Ronald Reagan, whose trade policies Trump slammed, saying that while the former president was great with other things, he was bad with trade. Trump shared the ranking alongside a video from CNN that highlighted a poll showing him as the president most admired by the Republicans. Others in the ranking were Ronald Reagan and Lincoln. Trump's praise for himself contrasts with multiple polls depicting decreasing support for him, some of them even questioning if he would be able to win the upcoming midterm elections. Only a few US presidents have won the midterms, remember? Jimmy Carter was one of them. He led the Democrats to an outstanding victory in 1978, winning 277 seats as opposed to Republicans' 158. George W. Bush's Republican Party won over Democrats in 2002 with 229 seats. In fact, in the previous Trump administration, Republicans lost to Democrats in the midterms. All eyes are now on the November elections and how the Republicans fare under this administration. As the US-Canada trade war intensifies, the battle is not limited to tariffs alone. The Trump administration again used social media to boast about his supposed triumph over Canada. This time, though, there was a twist in the tale. Have a look at these visuals. The White House posted a photo of a bald eagle pinning a Canada goose to the ground. This was seen as a bid to project US dominance over Canada, as the bald eagle is strongly associated with the US, being its national bird. However, the White House's victory symbol turned into a rather unexpected Canadian comeback story. Build Canada, a Canadian government agency, responded to this with another picture which depicts a very different story. It shows the Canada goose raising its wing in an apparent attack. According to some social media users, both these photos were from a 20-minute face-off between these two birds on frozen Lake Ontario, captured by a photographer over a year ago. So that's the context. Now, while the bald eagle had an upper hand in this fight for a while, the goose fought back, after which the eagle was forced to retreat. And this metaphor of resistance unfolded in reality early this week, remember, when Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on around 700 US goods, ranging between 15 to 50% from September 8 onwards. American steel, aluminium, furniture, clothing, electronics and cheese will now be subjected to tariffs. Canada also announced an aid package of $5.4 billion US for workers and firms hit by US tariffs. But how exactly did Trump retaliate is the question. By renaming a lake, he signed an executive order changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. Not just that, he attributed this move to Canada shortchanging America on trade as well as military issues. Earlier, the Ontario Premier had threatened that Canada can cut off electricity and critical mineral supply to the United States if the tensions continue.
As you know, Canada's been ripping us off for a long time on trade, very sadly. Even the military, we defend Canada for nothing. We don't get anything. They don't pay us to defend Canada, but we defend Canada.
Well, let's just break this down further. Lake Ontario is one of the 4 lakes that the US shares with Canada. It borders New York State in America and Ontario province in Canada. According to reports, it has been called Lake Ontario since the 17th century and was named by Canada's indigenous population. As this water body falls under jurisdiction of both countries, Trump cannot compel Canada to adopt the changed name. Let's also tell you how last year the US president stirred a row by renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. However, Trump suggested that his push to rename water bodies may not be finished. Listen in for yourself to what he said.
As you know, we took something called the Gulf of Mexico, we changed it, and now it's very routinely the Gulf of America. So if you think about it, we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Now all we need is an ocean. So maybe we'll have to change the name of the Atlantic and or the Pacific. Maybe we'll change them both.
The move to rename Lake Ontario immediately triggered a pushback from Canada's leader, who said, and I'm quoting, "The name is more than 400 years old, predating both the Confederation of Canada and the Declaration of Independence of the United States." Snapping Trump further, Carney stressed that Canadians will continue to call it Lake Ontario. Public opinion on the matter was also largely in favor of the Canadian leader's stance.
Most people from Toronto would find the idea of renaming Lake Ontario laughable. I don't think they would stand for it. It's sort of a silly joke. I think most people would not take it seriously.
The row originally started with a breakdown in the trade talks between the two sides, while the Canadian Prime Minister slammed the US for treating his country like a subsidiary and accused it of trying to destroy its key industries. The US accused him of walking away from the deal for political purposes. While Trump initially imposed a 50% tariff on around $20 billion of Canadian goods, he followed it up by enhancing the tariffs on all Canadian cars, trucks, automobile parts, and steel to 50%. With Canada's subsequent retaliatory measures, it's amply clear that it will not give in to US pressure anytime soon. The next war may begin long before the first missile is fired. It could begin with a stolen signal, a jammed satellite, or one false piece of battlefield data, and the military that can protect its information could control the battlefield before the enemy even knows what's going on. The global powers racing to deploy an unbreakable quantum shield before their digital kill chains are shattered. Take a look.
The next war will be fought over data, not bullets. Quantum could decide who keeps secrets and who loses them. A single split-second transmission decides modern combat. Satellites spot targets, drones scan the area closely, command centers feed fighter jets, and missiles lock on within seconds. But every link in this digital kill chain is vulnerable. Adversaries are actively listening, jamming frequencies, spoofing coordinates, and preparing to crack the encryption that keeps military networks alive. This is where quantum technology enters the scene. Quantum computers use qubits that can exist in multiple states at once through superposition and entanglement. This enables powerful parallel processing and could break almost all current encryption, promising unimaginable breakthroughs. Quantum computing offers many promises.
Quantum computing is going to the ultimate extreme where instead of making the transistor smaller and smaller, we're going to a single electron as the transistor. And so this unleashes a huge amount of computational power if you can exploit the strange properties of the quantum computer. So if you can find an algorithm that uses the properties of the quantum computer, then the potential is to be exponentially faster. And this means that we'll be able to solve problems which would otherwise be unsolvable.
But quantum's military value goes beyond computing. Quantum communication can protect the keys used to encrypt secret messages. In quantum key distribution, tiny particles of light carry the information needed to create those keys. Try to intercept the quantum signal and you disturb it. The system can detect that intrusion and reject the compromised key. Nations around the world are racing to turn quantum science into military capability. Experts say quantum sensing could transform warfare by potentially challenging the stealth and survivability of submarines and aircraft. China is already experimenting with quantum sensors for undersea tracking, while the US is pursuing quantum navigation and sensing. India is moving too. DRDO has completed military field trials of an indigenous fiber-based quantum key distribution system designed to protect strategic communications and form the basis for larger quantum networks. And the Indian Army has declared 2026 the year of networking and data centricity. The message is unmistakable. Tomorrow's battlefield may belong not to the army with the most bullets, but to the army whose data survives the attack. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Scientists have identified a possible new way to control chronic nerve pain by targeting a small area deep inside the brain. In fact, it's being called a brain break. Researchers at Washington University School of Medicine have found that certain receptors in that area can act like a natural brake on pain signals. So does that mean that your chronic pain can actually be managed without painkillers? Let's study more about the study. It focused on a brain region which basically helps regulate pain as well as the body's response to stress. When nerves are damaged, they can send repeated and abnormal pain signals to the brain, causing long-lasting burning, shooting or stabbing pain. A study was done in mice with nerve damage where researchers removed some receptors from cells in the area. The animals then became more sensitive to touch as well as heat. When the researchers restored the receptors, the heightened pain sensitivity was reduced. The findings suggesting that these receptors help keep pain signals under control and may become a target for future treatments. Current opioid drugs like morphine and fentanyl, for example, act on receptors throughout the brain and body, which basically can bring side effects and addiction risks. Scientists are now looking at ways to target the pain-controlling receptors more precisely in the brain with the aim of developing effective treatments with fewer risks. The research published in Current Biology was conducted in mice, so more work is needed before any such approach could be used as a human treatment. Let me ask you this, as far as dating apps go and the dating world in general, are you fed up of ghosting or even catfishing and the endless swiping on these traditional dating applications? A growing number of single professionals are interestingly turning to a rather unexpected platform to find romance. We are talking about LinkedIn. Driven by widespread dating app fatigue, users are increasingly leaning into the corporate platform's search filters to vet potential partners. Unlike conventional dating apps, LinkedIn basically provides verified real-world data, including education, career trajectory, mutual connections, communication styles as well, giving singles a sense of safety and authenticity in a way as well. And a recent study by Career Platform found that nearly half of respondents trust a LinkedIn profile more than a traditional dating bio, with roughly 22% admitting they have sent or responded to messages with romantic intent on the site. However, treating the site like a dating application carries significant risks. Roughly 74% of the users view unsolicited romantic advances on LinkedIn as a breach of professional boundaries, and platform policies strictly prohibit romantic solicitation reportedly. Even so, as workplace lines continue to blur in a way, coffee chats increasingly doubling up as first dates, it seems, for singles looking for love in a rather unique place. Time now to get you Gravitas image of the day. For this, we're taking you to China, where a chimpanzee at a wildlife park there has become an unexpected attraction after it was seen twirling around a string of prayer beads with remarkable dexterity. Also, let's get you the big question hanging in the air as of now, the answer to which determines a lot. Israel has conducted a fresh airstrike, this time in the West Bank, in which it claimed to have targeted a Hamas operative. So here's a key question. Will this lead to a further increase in West Asia tensions? And what will things look like from here onwards? Also taking a quick look now at key events expected to unfold over the next 24 hours. Prime Minister Modi arriving in Uzbekistan for a 2-day bilateral visit. He will be holding delegation-level talks to strengthen the strategic partnership and review mutual development vision. Voters in Iceland will take part in a referendum on Saturday to decide whether their country should resume talks on joining the European Union. Amid the New York mayor's opposition, RSS chief Mohan Bhagat will be speaking at the Madison Square Garden on Saturday at an event called Universal Oneness Celebrations. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
The world is changing. The headlines are shifting. The future is being written every day. From around the continents, Asia and India, WION brings you the stories that shape our world. Grounded, geopolitical, global. WION. World is one.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances. Power never stands still. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.